Traveling is a means to success. Do subscribe Travel and Taste channel and like videos. For further videos, stay connected. American food facts you didn't know. Find out what each state has on its plate. These quirky food facts make each of the 50 states unique. Alabama famous for pecan. The official nut of Alabama is the pecan, which explains the popularity of comforting pecan pie in this southern state. It hosts a pecan festival every fall with country music, carnival rides, and a western show. Alaska famous for berries. This chilly state is more than frost and snow. Berries can often be foraged out in the nature, and wild Alaskan blueberries are more nutritious than common blueberries. Arizona famous for vegetables. Yuma County, Arizona, is the nation's winter lettuce capital, thanks to its recognition as the sunniest place on Earth. This county provides America with 90% of its leafy greens from November through March and hosts its own veggie festival called City of Yuma's Lettuce Festival every year. Arkansas famous for pickle. Prefer your veggies on the crispy side? The first fried dill pickle ever sold was at the Dutchess Drive-In in Atkins, Arkansas, in 1963. If you're looking to try the original, you can get your fix at the Atkins Pickle Fest each May. California famous for dairy producer. Rolling pastures and bright skies make for happy cows. The Golden State is the United States' #1 dairy producer, churning out tons of butter, milk, and, of course, ice cream each year. Better yet, 99% of California dairy farms are family-owned. Colorado famous for cheeseburger. You've got the Rocky Mountain State to thank for your cookout favorite, the cheeseburger. Drive-In owner Louis E. Ballast trademarked the cheeseburger on March 5, 1935. He never formally enforced his trademark, and the Humpty Dumpty Barrel restaurant, where the cheeseburger was created, no longer stands, but you can find a stone carving on the side of the road that designates the site of its birth. Connecticut famous for lollipop. This state is for suckers. No, really, the lollipop was first invented in New Haven, Connecticut, in 1908 by George Smith, who enjoyed going to the races so much that he named his creation after a competitor of the time, a horse named Lollipop. Delaware famous for peach pie. In 2009, the country's first state declared peach pie its official dessert. The campaign was started by 5th and 6th graders who chose the dessert because of Delaware's peach farming history. Florida famous for first avocado tree. Guacamole fans, rejoice! The first avocado tree in the United States was planted in Florida in 1833, making taco night in American homes infinitely better since. Georgia famous for peanut. Your PB&J wouldn't be quite the same without this state. Georgia is the #1 peanut producer in the US, and half of its crop gets processed into peanut butter, creamy and crunchy. Hawaii famous for coffee beans. Need your caffeine fix? Hawaii is one of only 2 US states to grow coffee beans. The Kona region of the Big Island is home to over 650 coffee farms alone. Idaho famous for potatoes. Yes, we want fries with that. While potatoes are grown in all 50 states of the US, Idaho remains the country's biggest producer, harvesting about 13 billion pounds annually. Illinois famous for deep dish pizza. Chicago's famous deep dish pizza isn't an Italian export, but rather an American original. Chicago restaurant Pizza Uno first created the dish in 1943, and it has become the city's most iconic food since. Indiana famous for corn. The Hoosier State is one of the country's biggest corn producers, harvesting 983 million bushels in 2018. The state takes great pride in its kernel production and even has a town named Popcorn. Iowa famous for ice cream capital of the world. We have found your new vacation destination, ice cream lovers. Lamar, Iowa, was deemed the ice cream capital of the world in 1994, and produces more ice cream from a single company, Blue Bunny, than any other city in the world. Kansas, famous for wheat. This Midwestern state harvests so much wheat in a year that its annual harvest could bake 36 billion loaves of bread, enough to feed the world's population for about 2 weeks. Kentucky, famous for fried chicken. This state's popular food export is no secret. Colonel Harlan Sanders cooked the first batch of Kentucky Fried Chicken at Sanders Cafe in Corbin, Kentucky. The recipe has changed a few times over the years, and the first bucket of KFC chicken sold in 1957. Louisiana, famous for Cajun food. This state's flavors are so intricate that it has its own cuisine. Cajun food is derived from French-speaking Acadian immigrants who came to Louisiana in the 18th century. It is known for its aromatic preparation of vegetables, rice, and seafood. Maine, famous for lobster. Get your butter and bibs. Maine's lobster harvest hit an all-time high in 2016, with fishermen bringing in over 130 million pounds of the crustacean. Lobsters are harvested year-round in Maine, despite extreme cold winter temperatures. Maryland, famous for blue crabs. Maine's not the only crustacean capital in the country. Maryland blue crabs are a classic Chesapeake delicacy that locals and visitors enjoy steamed, sautéed, or mixed into soups and dips. Massachusetts, famous for chowder soup. It wouldn't be New England without a bowl of chowder, and Bay Staters take their soup so seriously that one lawmaker tried to criminalize adding tomatoes to their New England clam chowder back in 1939. Missouri, famous for first ice cream cones. The St. Louis World's Fair in 1904 forever changed frozen dessert history when an ice cream vendor ran out of cups and asked a nearby waffle vendor to roll up some waffles, creating the first ice cream cones. Montana, famous for sugar beets. Vegetables can be pretty sweet. Montana is such a big producer of sugar beets, light brown beets that you can cook to create a molasses, that they're the mascot of Chinook High School. Nebraska, famous for the beef state. Got steak? Nebraska's license plates in the 50s and 60s read the beef state, and beef continues to be the state's single largest industry. Nevada, famous for world capital of buffets. If you're looking to get the biggest meal for your buck, a trip to Las Vegas will leave you with a full belly. The casino city is also known as the world capital of buffets, with about 70 total in the city. New Hampshire, famous for Stonyfield Farm. A visit to Stonyfield Farm in Londonderry, New Hampshire, can show you how yogurt and other dairy products are produced ethically. This organic, non-GMO company is one of the most popular yogurt producer in the country, and you've probably spotted their products in your dairy aisle. Bonus, they'll even let you taste some free samples. New Jersey, famous for diner capital. Need a French fry fix at 2 a.m.? No problem. New Jersey is known as the diner capital of the world thanks to the hundreds of greasy spoons within the Garden State's borders. Estimates say there are over 600 statewide. New Mexico, famous for chili pepper. The chili pepper is the state vegetable of the land of enchantment. These spicy veggies go great in many New Mexican meals, just be sure not to rub your eyes after handling them. New York, famous for creating the first potato chips. After a particularly picky customer at Moon's Lake House in Saratoga Springs, New York, complained about the thickness of his French fries in 1853, Chef George Crumb sliced some potatoes paper thin, creating the first potato chips. North Carolina, famous for invented Pepsi. Pharmacist Caleb Davis Bradham invented Pepsi-Cola in New Bern, North Carolina, in 1867. Although now a beloved soft drink, Pepsi was originally touted as a healthy drink that aided in digestion. North Dakota, famous for producer of edible Nearly 90% of this rural state is farmland, making it the nation's leading producer of all dry edible beans, honey, canola, and more. Ohio, famous for birthplace of the tomato. Internationally recognized horticulturalist Alexander W. Livingston developed the Paragon tomato, the first commercially grown tomato, in 1870 in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, giving the town the title, birthplace of the tomato. Oklahoma, famous for watermelon. While it's considered a fruit pretty much everywhere else, the watermelon was declared the state vegetable of Oklahoma in 2007. Since watermelons come from cucumber and gourd families, the state decided that they should be considered vegetables. Oregon, famous for hazelnuts. 99% of all hazelnuts in the US are grown in Oregon's Willamette Valley, keeping the country's chocolate hazelnut cravings completely satisfied. Pennsylvania, famous for cheesesteak. The Philly cheesesteak made its debut in 1930 when Pat Olivieri, a hot dog vendor, decided to put some beef on his grill and put it on a sandwich. Eventually Pat's King of Steaks opened and the cheesesteak's popularity skyrocketed. Rhode Island, famous for coffee milk. A cup of joe isn't necessary to get your Java fix in this state. Rhode Island adopted coffee milk as its state beverage in 1993. Similar to chocolate milk, the drink is made by mixing a sweet, concentrated coffee syrup with cold milk. South Carolina, famous for the rice state. The first recorded effort to cultivate rice in the U.S. happened in Charleston, South Carolina, in 1685. Because of this historical connection to the grain, the state is sometimes called the Rice State. South Dakota, famous for fry bread. This state has maintained its culinary connection to native culture. Fry bread, the official state bread, has its origins in the Navajo tribe. Tennessee, famous for moon pies. Originally developed as a snack sold to Appalachian coal miners, moon pies were first made in Chattanooga Bakery in Tennessee. The cookies are made with a marshmallow sandwiched between two graham crackers, dipped in chocolate. Texas, famous for chips and salsa. As of 2003, the official state snack is something we eat at almost any gathering, chips and salsa. Utah, famous for cherries. Approximately 2 billion cherries are grown in Utah annually, making it the official state fruit. After World War II, the Japanese also sent cherry trees to Utah as a sign of friendship. Vermont, famous for maple syrup. The state is the single largest producer of maple syrup in the U.S. In 2018 alone. The state's syrup crop came in at a record 1.9 gallons. Virginia, famous for oyster capital. This seaside state is known as the oyster capital of the East Coast, thanks to its plentiful seafood yields. The state also hosts the Urbana Oyster Festival and the Chincoteague Island Oyster Roast, among other events honoring the shellfish. Washington, famous for apple. If every apple picked in Washington in a single year was placed side by side, they would circle around the Earth 29 times. Even more impressive, every apple in the state is hand-picked. West Virginia, famous for calzone pepperoni roll. The calzone-esque pepperoni roll originated as a meal for West Virginian coal miners. They are made out of bread rolls with pepperoni and sometimes cheese baked into the middle. Wisconsin, famous for varieties of cheese. Home of the cheeseheads, Wisconsin produces more than 600 different varieties of cheese. Today the state is home to 8,327 dairy farms and more than 1.27 million cows. Wyoming, famous for milk and dinner. Harkening back to its cowboy roots, Wyoming has its own type of feast, a milk can dinner. Vegetables, meat, and water or beer are placed in a 10-gallon milk can and then cooked over a fire for a couple hours. Do subscribe Travel and Taste channel and like videos. For further videos, stay connected.